this is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies.
Oh, he's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannon's insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan to Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. There's Michael Conchar that's got around Dylan de Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan...
light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan de Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes as the safety car pulls in and we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
green and they're off.
First lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's.
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanek and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't implemented it, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if we get a good run. Dodds just absolutely thinking, but it is a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome back to SRWtv. Tonight we jump back into the world of open wheelers for round 6 of season 2 of the 2024 Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. It's a mid-season visit to Mobility Resort Motegi for a 2-race sprint round tonight, and the weather is definitely in to make for a chaotic, wet and wild night tonight. It's Cowie Average Sim Racer here. I'm with Hamish Munro, once again on the mic and behind the cameras covering tonight's action. Gotta love the wet, buddy. We've been waiting a while for this to happen the regular season. Here it is finally.
Did you remember to bring your towel, Cowie?
I'm not the one that's going to need a towel out there, guys. I'm sitting comfortably in my sim here, triple screens, looking at a big scenic view of the track. But it's those drivers out there. Well, I'm sure they've been out here practicing for a while. Look at the numbers there. Lots of guys have done 40, 50, 60 laps in practice. Is it enough? Are they prepared? What do you reckon?
I think some drivers definitely would have done some pre-race practice this week, even after we mentioned it would be wet. They definitely would have been trying to get to grips with this track in the rain. Ironically, last time we had a wet race was when we were last in Japan for Fuji. So it's just throwing up all the wet weather, and I'm really appreciative that I'm sitting in my in my broadcast booth right now with my heater on, sitting at a comfortable 22 degrees. Just looking at this weather makes me feel cold, but yeah, the heat is helping me get through this thing. Obviously, Motegi, nice little challenge for these cars. East Circuit here tonight. Last time we were at Motegi was for supercars last season, where we saw some epic battles happening, not only in the Pro-Am field, but also on the Tuesday night series, namely with the likes of Brett Taylor, Scott Weston, and others, delivering us some great battles and some great action for us to call. But F3's here tonight, Super Formula Lights. Gonna be a bit of a test. Obviously, they had a bit of a taste of rain out at Fuji, and it threw every single rock out of the basket. Anything you could think. It changed the landscape completely of that race and gave us a nice preview of knowing when we'd get rain, it would really change the landscape if the drivers were not prepared. It appears that some drivers are prepared tonight, maybe some more than others. Could still throw a bit of a basket in there. I think what this is going to do is obviously Long Beach last week, Cowie, threw out a massive spanner in the works in terms of who was in contention for that championship. People were in contention prior to that race, had a poor race through all the chaos, and then lost out on their position. Tonight could be the same with the rain, obviously. It's an unknown, isn't it? And at this point in the season, as a driver, you don't need unknowns. You need certainties. But we have got a certainty tonight that there should be some chaos, and we should be on for a good night of racing.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things. I mean, these guys, the point spread between them generally is only a few positions. With those battles sort of up and down the track, doesn't matter whether you're Pro-Am or Am. You tend to be sort of within a 2 or 3 places of the guys you're battling within the championship. Weather like this and races like last week at Long Beach, the concrete jungle, what they tend to do is they tend to throw it on its head, because suddenly you will have a bunch of guys that are have a great night and a bunch of their competitors have a really bad night. So yeah, look, I think tonight is going to be a little bit of survival out there. The weather looks like it's set in. We might have it lighten up for a little periods, but as we've seen, the few races I've done in the wet here, it takes a long time for the track to dry out. So don't expect slicks for a while.
Yeah, we were kind of frantically looking at the change of precipitation. There is a point in the evening tonight where it will get down to 4%, but then it will jump back up drastically leading up towards the end of the event. So we'll probably get dips in where we don't have rain dropping, but the track will still be wet, and then the rain will eventually come back. So, unfortunately, I think if they wanted to have a dry track at the end, it probably need to stop raining now to give enough time for the rain, for the water to actually, get off the track and dry out a little bit. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough night for these guys on track. I mean, Twin Ring is a difficult track in its own right, even in the dry. You had a bit of water on there, and as we mentioned, anything can happen as cars are starting to go out now for qualifying. Maybe this will give us a bit of a preview, but we know there's no preview like seeing some racing, especially in wet conditions. But maybe we'll see who's comfortable in the rain early doors. We already see a car off in Timothy Schmalenberg doing a bit of a jump for us. Oh, it could be a wild night for these drivers out on track.
Well, look, one of the things that, it took rain a long time to come to iRacing, but they said they wanted to do it properly. One of the things that we sort of can see the puddles there. Now, white lines are a bad thing, curbs are a bad thing when they're wet. Those puddles are absolutely horrendous and you just aquaplane. Now, other simulation games and simulators, rain, it tends to be maybe just a slippery dry line, whereas from what we've seen with iRacing here, it's the way the water, puddles on the track, the way it dissipates and changes during a race. Now, it looks like it's going to be wet the whole time, so we're not going to get that dry race like we had at Fuji, where it dried out towards the end. But, look, I just love the look at it. See the water pooling on the edges there. You can see right near the curbs where it's puddling, and there's the other big problem, the spray, being able to see. Got to love onboards in the rain, Hamish. It's awesome to see.
Well, this is also our first qualifying session we get to see in the rain for these cars as well, Carrie, if you recall. Fuji was a sprint round, and the first race in the qualifying session was dry, and then we get into the warm-up and it starts to rain, and then obviously the race was absolutely torrential. Very similar levels of rain in that race that we have here tonight, actually. It's about the same precipitation, really. I don't think it's like typhoon type of rain, but it's definitely heavy. It's going to be difficult for these drivers in these cars, obviously, as well. But, if you're in a real-world car, you're racing in the rain. Obviously, in these cars, you've got no roof. You're sitting there in a pool of water. Your suit's all wet. You're sweating. It's cold. You're trying to keep warm, but you're also trying to deal with everything on track, whether it's a car spinning ahead of you, the spray, trying to keep your car on track itself. Racing in the rain in real life is, I'd say, it's a little bit more mind-bending or ego-destroying than racing in the sim, but even in the sim it can hurt your ego as well, knowing of how hard it is to control that car and try and keep it on the black stuff at the end of the day.
I definitely prefer to be an armchair athlete when it comes to racing in the rain. Unfortunately, Sean Bonici's saying he can't join us tonight. His PC crashes when he tries to race in the rain. That's a bit unfortunate, buddy. Would love to see you out there. And perhaps a part of the carnage or a person who manages to avoid it. Talking of carnage, Hamish, we've got to have this discussion. Last week, I took the bold move of going for 4 safety cars, and it actually happened. It was Long Beach, though. How do you think it's going to play out tonight, buddy?
I think sprint round action. I think we could see 3 tonight, Kerry. I'm going to back my choice from last week. We already saw how bad the rain was at Fuji. We had quite a few safety cars in that one. Could see quite a few incidents in between cars here tonight, not necessarily with the wall. I think sprint round doesn't lend itself well to any more than possibility of 3. That's kind of lending itself to 1 in the first race and 2 in the second. So yeah, I think 3 might be the maximum tonight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look, I've thought of saying 4 again because it is going to be a chaotic race here tonight. I was thinking maybe 2 because, as you said, race control is reluctant to pull the trigger when it comes to the last 5 minutes. So that means you're losing 10 minutes of, 60 minutes running. So it's only 50 minutes of actual running that you can count if I use my math head.
Surely you go big and bold, Cowie, like last week. It paid off.
I'm going for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not wussing out. I'm going for it. But it is one of those things that, you know, look, it all comes down to how much you're prepared to drive in the rain. You know, I mean, we can see guys that will suddenly be, you know, in contention that maybe aren't normally in contention because they're prepared to be that little bit braver. We might see mistakes from our consistent runners because, you know, it only takes a little puddle to catch you out in these sort of conditions. At the moment, it is Gallo and Byrne, though the Carlin Motorsports boys 1 and 2. Into the 124s, David Gallo. The rest of the field, 25s, 26s, and then, you know, 28s and 29s for a lot of the mid-packers. So, but only half of the guys actually putting a lap down so far. So it's not that easy to qualify out here 6 minutes in.
Yeah, it's already proving to be difficult for some of these drivers. We saw a 20 and some 21s in practice, but that would have been when the track wasn't quite as wet as it is now. As we get into the time of about 1:30 in session, that's when it's going to drop down to about 4%. But it's whether that's going to happen during the race or during qualifying. I don't think it's going to be through qualifying. I think it will probably be towards the end of race number 1. Oh, it's a big spin there.
Hopkinson losing it there with a bit of grass. Well, I was going to say, it's one of the things that you're going to have is this might be a qualifying session that actually has that look of a race about it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be people that just get a better run and are much faster. Here we go, another little battle with, was that Johnson and Brooke? Battling it out in qualifying. You know, but again, a little bit of toe here maybe, you know, is worth a couple of positions. And, you know, if you're brave and you manage to stick it through a corner, you know, we normally talk about corners being worth a tenth or two. In the wet, they could be worth half a second.
No, that's right. And you know, they're racing. It's a bit of a trying to claim any bit of pace you can over another driver, especially in the rain. You're trying to keep it clean for a whole lap, obviously, but it's very, very difficult, especially when you get caught in traffic. You don't really want to be stuck behind someone in case they make a mistake. That then ruins your run.
Also, you've got, you know, different lines in the wet.
That's right.
You know, you're going to have people braking, you know, on different parts of the track. You know, where it's rubbered in the most, where the racing line is, that's where you don't want to be in the wet. So, you know, it suddenly creates all these variables where, you know, drivers are put in positions that they're not normally used to. They're racing lines that then, you know, they're only just practicing tonight in the wet or maybe earlier, you know, leading up to this race. But, you know, that's where you're going to see the differences. The guys that are prepared to carry a little bit more speed through there. They've practiced that line. They know where they can, you know, get away with it. Like a tight chicane like this in the east layout. And then you've got this blind corner coming up through there, which is hard to see in the V8, let alone, you know, a car with a big beam in front of you. But, you know, that's where it's going to be, you know. So we're going to see some gaps that we're maybe not used to in qualifying. We normally talk about these guys being separated by hundredths, but, you know, in these conditions, you know, tenths, half a second, you know, a second is going to be those margins. Tiny little mistake, it's going to cost you.
So just up towards the 10-minute mark of qualifying now, we've had some updates from race control. There was just some further updates from ourselves as well. So there's 2 pit lane starts occurring here tonight. One of them for this man here, Matt Tesuero, car number 25, currently leading the AM Championship. He's been given a pit lane start for towing without permission at Long Beach. The other driver is Matt Gerard from Velocity Sim Labs. Currently, majority of the field is on track. Dylan De Bono has just come in. Greg Johnson's in as well as Kayakins of Phil Ho. Those guys have all set times. Only drivers yet to set times. Matt Gerard, although he has the pit lane starts, probably won't bother. And then also Josh King in the number 91 SRW entry as well.
I'm surprised Tesuero is out there qualifying.
Yeah, maybe he's just trying to get some. He might just
pit
be
lane
getting some
start,
practice. Yeah, he's getting a pit lane start. I think he's just trying to get some practice on the wet track as well. He's probably using.
It's just pit lane start. Then race control probably said you can go out there and qualify. You know, so you can do the practice, but that's you're gonna be starting from pit lane. Oh, right. It is going to be interesting because he's got a 20.
It's a 17-point advantage
17-point
over
lead.
Greg Johnson.
That's right. and he's only 8 points ahead of Caldwell. So Johnson and Caldwell, they'd be looking for a big, performance here, especially in race number 1. He will have a chance to recover and maybe get a better position for race number 2. So it's not all doom and gloom starting from pit lane. But, when the championship's close, those guys will be looking to try and get, a bunch of points on him. And that's what I was talking about before. Last week, Long Beach, the chaos of the concrete jungle. And this week, it's a wet and wild night. Oh, the contact there was that Walker and Gowans. Wonder if that will flag on race control. Don't think they've called it out. It's just, slippery and cars trying to get out of the way and you end up sliding into him.
I think so currently as we stand, because we have got drop rounds included in the points, if you guys want to see the points as well for F3s, if you're in amongst that channel of chats on Discord, the updated points are in there for both F1 Shadow Series and F3 Nationals. For the amateurs at the moment, Matt Cicero after a drop rounds on 463 points. Greg Johnson is P2 before drop rounds, but he actually moves to P4 on his 439. P2 is actually with Callum Rosanita on 460. He's only 3 points off the top step. And then P4 is Dean Sinkovich, who, whilst on his holiday for R&D 2 weeks ago, he dropped that round, and his 444 is what his current points are, as well as his drop round points. So he currently sits P3 in the standings, and with Greg in P4 in behind. In behind him is Keegan Caldwell on 418. So that's currently the top 5 in that championship. If we then talk about the Pro-Ams, after drop rounds have been included, currently leading that championship is Sam Katagazinos on 621, I do believe, and then Callum Hodgson's on 594. And then we have Matt Gerard on 503.
They stand at the moment.
Yeah, and then Matt Gerard on 503, and then Kaya Kinzel-Filiho on 502 in behind. So it's a tight battle for that one. And then for the pros, it's currently being led by Dylan DeBono, who is on 715. Then it is Alan Dawson on 662. And then Dave Roberts on 658. And then David Gallo on 653. And then I believe it is Dougie Gowans on 591 after drop rounds. So it's a tight field at the moment. Anyone could win it from this point. As we get into the final 2 minutes of qualifying. At the moment, pole position, Cowie, is sitting with Marcus Knitska with an exceptional 1 minute 24. But Byrne and Gallo have just picked him with a 123 each. 123.90 there, or 8.5 I should say, or 8.9 for Daniel Byrne. Gallo got a 9.7. These times are coming in quick and fast, so I think we're actually getting with the track a little bit dry now. Tyres are getting a bit warmed up as Byrne runs it wide, and the times are only getting faster and faster as we get into the end of qualifying.
I think they're also, as you said, they're pushing, they're working out where they can find a little bit more speed, and you're starting to see the pros are the ones that are really starting to, find that little bit extra. And, again, the tops 3 are now with Dave Roberts doing a 23.7, so the top 3 are all separated by less than 2/10 once again. So, it's still close. I mean, half a second back to 6th. So even though, we said that, tenths might separate these guys, they still find ways to be within hundreds of each other.
So it has actually stopped raining on track, Cowie. Track's still wet, but track is now drying. I think now we're actually at the point of the 4% that I spoke about. So it wouldn't be the end of race 1. It's going to be now, which means we'll probably actually get a bit wetter throughout race 1 and then into race 2.
But what it means is that the guys that are, going to finish their lap in the next 20 or 30 seconds, they well could catapult to the top of the grid. If you've timed this right, this is where the F1 strategists get involved. And if you had read that beforehand, you're an absolute genius.
Well, one who is on for an absolute exceptional lap is Doug Gowans, who is coming up towards the line. He's going to be able to finish this lap, it seems.
Oh,
he could go straight to the top. He's going to be the last one that's going to be able to set a time. Is it good enough for pole position? He's timed it to absolute perfection with a 23.34. What a time from Doug Gowans. An absolutely exceptional display in strategy there for him to get that car on pole position.
I think my drummer would be absolutely ecstatic with that timing there of Dougie's. Brilliantly done and jumps right to the top. Well done, Dougie. The grandpa on it.
Well, he will be starting pole position for race number 1 here tonight for Velocity Sim Labs. He'll start alongside Dave Roberts out of P2 for Pace Syndicate. He was our newest first-time winner. He won out at Long Beach last week. Daniel Byrne, David Gallo will then line up for a Carlin's Motorsport second row lockout ahead of Alan Dawson and Marcus Knitska. Shane Ratcliffe and Mitch Noble, they'll start P1 for both of their classes in 7th and 8th on the road. Dylan De Bono, wow, what a struggle for him in qualifying. He'll start P9 ahead of Matt Tesuero in P10, but he will have the pit lane starts. It'll actually be Benjamin Brook who will now start alongside, but I think because he's actually qualified, he lines up in behind.
Space will be on the grid.
Yeah. Sam Catakazinos then lines up P12 on the road as we move back to Keegan Caldwell and Nathan Verney. Callan Hodgkinson and Callum Rossanita line up again once alongside each other 2 weeks in a row. And we saw both those boys manage to get inside the top 10 and finish one position alongside each other last week at Long Beach. We'll see if it happens again here tonight. Timothy and Nick Schmalenberg will then lock out row number 9 ahead of Kevin Wakefield and Kaya Kinzel-Filho out of P20. Dean Singovich and Mark Cochran then line up P21 and P22 with Martin Walker and Greg Johnston in behind. Jono running for Tourette's awareness this week and for the next couple of weeks. Matt Gerard, Josh King line up at the back of the field, which will also be where Matt Tesuero is. Greg Barber, Greg Galeek, the double Gregs, our race controllers and safety car drivers here tonight.
Mitch Noble, that's an MP8. Awesome qualifying result. That's what I was talking about, Hamish. You can end up with that left field racer who, put in the extra, the extra time or just, has just got on it. And suddenly, you see a bolter out of the blue. So great work to Mitch Noble. Have to see if he can hang on to a position and run with the front guys and stay out of trouble.
Chiefy in the chat saying the rain has stopped. It has, but it's looking like it will rain once again throughout the race proceedings here tonight across both races. So we are still expecting more wet running. I don't think the track's going to dry out in time for the end of this one, so it should be wet tyres throughout the whole race. Whether we're going to see some droplets of rain back on the track in race number 1, we'll have to wait and see. It'll be Roberts and Gowans off the front row.
Anyone gone for slicks, or are they all wizened up to that?
Everyone's on wets. Everyone's on wets. Luckily for us, SDK actually tells us what tyre compound they're on now, so we can actually double check that. 30 seconds till lights are going to go up, and we're going to go racing out at Twin Ring Motegi for the very first time, also known as Mobility Resort Motegi as well. You can hear the turbos off the revs of these cars. Everyone who should be gridded up is gridded up here tonight. It's going to be a wet one here out at Motegi. Gowans versus Roberts. Who's going to get the jump down towards turn number 1? Gridding has completed. Lights are up now. Let's go racing for round number 6 of season 2 of 2024. Oh, a bit of a jump start in the background there from one of the drivers. I noticed that one as we get going. I believe it might have been Shane Ratcliffe. He's going to get a drive-through penalty from iRacing for that one as they come down towards turn 1. And look at the spray cow as they come on through. Hopefully they can survive.
Oh, is that Gallo there going deep? Oh,
Gowans has been spun round. That's Gowans spun round off the exit of 1.
They've done well to avoid him there by the looks of it as well. But look at this car.
Another
one into the... Yeah, another one in the wall. Earlier on, it is Daniel Byrne and David Gallo that have jumped clear. Knitska also with a couple of spots. So, yeah, look, Dave Roberts falling back and Doug Gowan, the big losers early on.
Catakazinos now. Oh, with Rossanita ahead. Big spin. Able to avoid somehow on their way through. Carnage is already ensuing early here. We haven't even ended lap 1. We know there's one penalty going to be put in place for one of the drivers for jumping the start. As left, right and centre we see cars spinning off in the rain at the moment. Oh, I asked Jono before the race if he brought your towel. He said no, but I should have brought me flippers as well. He hasn't done that just yet, but he's making a move up positions at the moment.
Well, there's no rain actually coming down on track. This is all the wet track conditions from before, but plenty of spray and cars sliding around trying to find grip. Remember, cold tyres, and that's a trouble in the dry. In the wet, cold rubber can't be good.
See the battle's still continuing on now, early doors big close battle towards the back of the field. Josh King has had an absolutely exceptional start here tonight. He's already up 9 places on the road. Didn't set a time in quali, but he's managed to make his way through the field. He wants to get a 10th here on Timothy Schmalenberg. He's going to make it hard for him with Matt Gerard involved as well. He's also made up some big ground after starting in the pit lane for this race. That might have been the strategy here tonight for some of these drivers. Maybe they, I think some of them...
a bit of contact there. It's a tight section going through that east little kink of the layout. As I said, a blind corner. But look at the spray, look at the standing water, and they're going 3 wide. Remember, white lines and curbs can't be good, so you've got to be careful. Gowans, after that spin early on, P18 now just trying to make his way back. He'd be, hunting down P10 so he can be near the front of the grid for the reverse top 10 race number 2.
Yep, you see them as well. Car 876, iRacing Black Flag for the jump start. That will be to, if I can find who it is, I believe it's Shane Ratcliffe. Yep, Shane Ratcliffe. I thought I recognised his car on the start line.
Yep.
So he'll have to come in.
But look at this congestion here in the mid-pack, guys. Trying to find their way through. We get lots of little jostles and changes of position. A little bit of contact in places, but you can see there the car's sliding around, but there is grip to be found. So it's not totally a diabolical situation out there as we see Gowans going up the inside of Schmalenberg.
Singovich leads this little battle on. Most positions gained so far off the first couple laps, Cowie. Josh King and Callan Hodgkinson are up 7 positions at the moment. Kaya Kinzel-Filho is up 9, and then Mark Cochran's up 10 and Matty Gerard's up 12 at the moment as they move their way through the field and just try and survive this wet running here out at Motegi.
Impressive one is Mitch Noble as well, up 3 positions into P5, our leading AM driver at the moment, so he's having a cracker run. It looks like he's got a nice little gap there as well where he can sit in and drive, so the SRW team would be quite happy with this performance.
Oh, Kaya Kinzel-Filho's had a move. A moment off the track just quickly, Cowie, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, no, you caught it. This is going to be a bad spot to rejoin. It's going to put him right to the back of the field. Okay, comes out in P19, so that was costly.
Oh, he's had a little bit of a dip as it's happened through
just
here.
The rear, just the rear's rotated on him. He's actually done pretty well to save that, yeah. But unfortunately...
had a moment too, as we talk about that. So, I mean, it's very easy to do through there, isn't it, Cowie? Lose the rear end, even in the dry.
Oh, nice battle here. Keegan Caldwell being aggressive, but he's just got on it a little bit too hard. Oh, he can't reverse there, buddy. And again, it's going to cost him a lot of spots. I mean, that's what we see when the running is still pretty close. Well, I mean, it's 24 seconds from first back to 20th. But, we've got a couple of really good battle packs with there's 3, 4, 5 cars battling together on track. Looking at Verney and Hodgkinson then, I think that was.
It was indeed through that corner. Hodgson got the move done down the inside on Verney.
Schmalenberg, Cochran, Gowans.
Yep.
So the pro right in the mix here, and he's rattling some savers here, pushing hard. P10. How far? We're only 5.5 minutes into this race, so he still has time at his hand, but obviously carrying a lot more pace and confidence, so able to get those moves done. And Dawson's had a wild moment and run wide. What's happened there? Got out on the white lines, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's just sucked him out wide a little bit. He's tried to go for possibly a mid-corner line. Yeah, it just hasn't turned in.
Yeah, I think he's outbroke himself then, actually, and just realised he's gone a bit deep, and instead of trying to get the car to turn in and lose the rear, he's slowed it up, gone wide and come back, so it's cost him a few spots. And that's Mitch Noble. Oh no, I've talked it up. What happened to Mitch there?
Well, I don't think we can claim that one as a commentator's curse, Cowie, just because of the rain.
I'm watching him.
No, and it was a little while since you mentioned his name. He's carried too much speed.
Just a little bit too much speed, that's right, in the wet. But I mean, this is where we're talking. This is starting to dry out, so you're starting to see some of these drivers pushing a little bit harder, And, you know, we may be starting to see a dry line, no, but the rain's starting to come down again now. So just as we start to see it, you can see those little splotches on the screen, and it's starting to rain once again.
One thing I was going to mention before, was I noticed in qualifying, was the change of wet track to dry through underneath the bridges where it hadn't been raining. And I have to wonder if that's going to have a part to play here tonight as well on those wet tyres.
No rain in this section of the track, so
Yeah.
maybe it's just part of the track where it's raining at the moment, and that's going to make it even more interesting. So you can see there is a dry line sort of starting, and no rain here at the moment. But, you know, we definitely see some spots on that sort of, and here as we come in, see it's starting to rain here again as they come into T1. Puddle's still there, but, oh, good catch by De Bono. Although it wasn't his best qualifying, you can see that, you know, the class and car control that he's got, he's been able to fight his way through now up to P5, so he's up 4 spots, and making sure that his championship rivals don't get too many points back on him at the moment.
You see there the positions that have been gained. Matty Gerard's still the driver with the most gained in this one with 15. It's good to see actually after, remember at Fuji, Cowie, both the Carlins boys struggled in the wet a little bit. Good to see they've actually put the practice in, and it's paying off for them now, sitting P1 and P2 on the road.
Yeah, I think when we spoke to them at the time, the rain was still fairly fresh, and they hadn't done a lot of practice on it. Didn't get much of a chance to practice, so I'd see that they put in some time this week. I mean, most of the drivers have known that this is going to be a wet round, you know, pretty much since Long Beach last week, and are prepared accordingly.
It's good to see they have prepared. Dave Roberts with Dylan De Bono fast approaching him here. We saw both these guys having a battle last week until De Bono had a big mishap on the final lap at Long Beach. We'll see though if this battle's now going to continue through this one. Nearly at the halfway point now, Kerry, about 9 minutes into the session. 11 minutes to go on this one. The track is starting to get a little bit more moist out there as the rain starts to come down. We get to have a safety car, but as this track gets wetter and wetter, it could mean more and more opportunities for safety cars.
Well, look, that's right. I mean, it's been fairly dry. Well, sorry, it hasn't been dry, but there hasn't been any rain at the start of the race, and now it's sort of coming back in. So it's all, again, all about bravery.
Rick Barber's getting over race
Oh,
control.
car
What's he saying?
663 being given a penalty for an unsafe rejoin. That's Nick Schmalenberg in the wars again, unfortunately. So he's going to have a little visit down pit lane in a sprint race that you don't really want.
No, you want to try and keep it as clean as possible. Even, I want to mention Kaya Kinzel-Filho. He had the off track, but he's still up positions on where he started this race. He's up 2, so he may have gained a heap off the start through all the carnage, but the Brazilian's doing pretty well out on track.
Yeah, I think he was up a bunch there before that little mistake, and but you can see here, you know, it's not long before you catch a battle if you've got a bit of pace. And he's got Schmalenberg, King, Tessuero battling hard in front of him, and Sinkovic leading that pack, so with about a second gap, but already Philo getting in, and Schmalenberg has to get his elbows out.
He's been given, so to confirm, Nick Schmalenberg's been given a black and white warning flag as
Tessuero's
Tessuero's lost it. So just to confirm, Schmalenberg does not need to come through the lane. He's been given a warning flag for his rejoin.
Right,
so,
okay.
So that means that if he does it again, he will more than likely get a black flag from race control as these battles continues on. So
the race control maybe being a bit lenient with the weather out there. A bit of a discussion in the chat with Benici and Sheepy saying that unfortunately game developers don't focus on optimization like they used to. In a way, Sheepy, I would say, but iRacing has been one of those games that for a long time you've been able to race it on a subpar PC. So, I mean, one of the things that they have done over the few seasons before the rain came out is actually started to, you know, up the requirements, and there's a nice move from Philo going up the inside. Has he got enough traction? It'll be interesting to see if he can hold that. But yeah, so you know, they have been preparing us for it. But again, you know, if you want to run 1440 or 4K, those things, and you're going to need a decent machine. 1080p You know, I used to have 1080p triple screens and didn't need a really big beefy PC to run that. But the moment you go up to 1440 and higher in your resolution, then that's when you start to need that performance.
Well, not even just that as well. I mean, he talks about rain devs don't really look at optimization. A lot of things now, though, as King's had a spin round ahead of Schmalenberg.
I wonder if there was contact there or he just got caught out, Schmalenberg. But Philo gets a couple of free positions there, and now he can take the fight to Sinkovic up ahead of him.
I think this is the moment just here, so...
Look at that spray.
Oh, it's massive. So one thing that a lot of game devs do now, not even just in iRacing,
bit of white line fever there, I think.
Nah, I think that almost looked like a compression lock, Yowie.
Oh, I think he just touched that white line, and in the wet, you know, it doesn't take much to get the rear to rotate round on those white lines. So you can't really see it from this angle, but on the rear, you see that rear tyre gets right out. I know this is Caldwell having a moment. He's gone on the curb on the inside there in the puddle.
That one is
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, look at Doug Gowans. What a... that was great evasion there from Dougie. Now we need to go on board and watch Dougie go through that and see how he actually avoided it.
Oh, yeah, that was white line fever. That one was white line fever, just to confirm.
Yeah, it didn't take much. I thought he just touched the white line, and that's all it takes sometimes. So slippery in the wet.
There's Dougie. He's coming up on Caldwell.
Let's...
Where is it? Oh, wait, no.
Nah, it must be a lap earlier, perhaps.
Well, no, it mustn't have been Dougie. It must have been someone else.
But it was an awesome save, I must say.
Yeah. As Schmalenberg continues his battle on. Up the front, though, it is currently Daniel Byrne and Marcus Knitska, P1 and 2.
Oh,
So
Knitska's got ahead of Gallo.
Yep.
Did something happen to Gallo there? I mean, he's not that far back, but Knitska was a couple of seconds behind these guys, and now he's putting on a charge. Okay, just a good move by the looks of it here. Marcus Knitska starting to you know, find his confidence out here. Nice move up the inside into T1. Gets that done. And now he's right on the back of Daniel Burns. So, you know, it's interesting here. Marcus Knitska finding some speed out there in the wet. Maybe part fish.
As we continue on, you can see Byrne Knitska up the front. Sorry, I'm just responding because Mr. Sinkovich just pointed out that we're missing the replay logo, and I just noticed that as well. So we'll get that fixed for either between the races or before next round as well. I mean, it's been a tough battle for a lot of these drivers, Carrie. We're only a couple of seconds away from no safety cars here in race number 1.
Yeah, they've done well so far. The carnage has been minimal, and you know, I was expecting, you know, with 26 cars out on track, I was expecting, you know, at least an 8-car pile up. You know, you got to go with your numbers here and probability.
Let's see if I just want to see if this works, so we can track it, because we currently have Doug Gowan's fast approaching P10 on the road. And obviously, if he gets there, he gets pole position for the next race. So is this going to do it for me?
He's got about, what, 4 seconds? 4 seconds to catch. Oh, no, he's only got about 1.2 to Hodgkinson. Now you can see him right there ahead. So Hodgkinson in the, I suppose the... Oh, Gowan's got on a little bit too hard. That might be commentator's curse for sure now, Hamish. I don't know if I claim that or you.
Oh, no, I think that's just that's a grandpa problem, that one. He forgot his glasses off the back of that. As Mark Cochran's also had an incident. Where is Mark on the list? Can I find him? There he is. He's still going. I think he might have just had to pull it up, coming up into behind Doug Gowans possibly there. But it's not all over yet, and mistakes are still coming hard and fast for us as Knitska's now right on the back of Daniel Byrne at the front of the field right now. This battle's going to continue on further and further throughout the rest of the proceedings. On board now with Daniel. There you can see Knitska in behind him, as he just tries to stay ahead of the Pace Syndicate driver. These Pace Syndicate boys have really become some major challenges at the moment in this series, Kerry. They're doing well.
Yeah, look, it's good to see. You know, Marcus picked up his first win in the F3s a couple of rounds back. And, what was it, last round? I can't remember now.
It was Dave who won last week. Kanitska won a couple of weeks ago.
Dave won last week, but we've had a few new round winners, and he's got a great slingshot there as we came off.
Sorry, I noticed that someone had a crash. I thought it might have been a big one, but we'll stick with this battle.
And he's got the slingshot and got the turning done. Traffic up ahead. Will that play a factor? Burns staying close, but Kanitska really finding his feet here now. Or getting out of the way there. Wakefield, that was close.
Really playing with danger there. Get on the puddle was Burn.
Oh, sent it hard there, and now that's given his teammate a run through. So swap of positions there, the Carlin boys. I don't think that was intentional, but dangerous here. Caldwell caught in a spot where it's easy for the car to slide out there, but now can the two Carlins boys take the fight back to Kanitska as we have about 2 and a bit minutes left. But you can see here up ahead, Gallo's getting the rear of that car all loose as he tries to get on the power. The rain, it's still coming in, so we're going to rain all the way to the end of this race by the looks now. White line fever there for Gallo, but he held it. That's how close the margins are. These boys are pushing hard, and Kanitska, he's trying to check out and get clear before they can use the tow against him.
Here, Gallo just trying to keep his teammate in check at the moment as they try and chase down Marcus Kanitska, who now leads this race by 1.3 seconds after slingshotting Daniel Byrne to P1 on the road. Dave Roberts still P4 on the road, so there's only 2 teams that make up the top 4 and only 3 teams that make up the top 5 with Dylan DeBono in behind him.
Yeah, look, again, the pros coming to the top here. Nathan Verney, the first of our pro-ams, having a great race as well. P7 in that massive, bright livery that he's got. But, yeah, the Carlin boys, they are battling hard here. But Kanitska, he's got their measure at the moment. Did we see white flag last lap, or we get one more?
I think, have they crossed the line? I think we may get one more because they're coming up towards the final couple of corners now.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to have one more.
I didn't see Bunny waving, but...
Sometimes he doesn't wave it, though. Sometimes he's just too busy trying to stay dry underneath the covers. But Kanitska leads the way nonetheless. I believe, yeah, we're probably going to have one more lap, I'd say, Cowie. He's going to come across the line well before the 20 minutes is up.
Keep an eye on it in case this is the last lap, but we still, it's not finished yet. And there is the white flag from Barney. So we've got one more lap. Kanitska has got a 1.3 second gap back to David Gallo in P2. He's got his teammate right on him. They've got about another 3 seconds back to Dave Roberts and Dylan DeBono bringing out the top 5. So, Kanitska timed his run perfectly. And he's now starting to extend that gap. So, again, is this one where you just come out of it a little bit and add to those margins with a lap to go? Or does that take you out of your rhythm and, mean you make a mistake?
I think if you're in this kind of position, obviously in the wet, you're bettering just trying to keep into your rhythm, trying to keep it nice and cool, calm and collected. And just try and get to the line. You don't want to make any mistakes.
Up on some traffic here on the final lap, something you don't really want to see, but I think he's only really got one more corner to go, and he'll be able to sweep around the outside here as Rossoneri gets well out of the way. Doesn't want a bar of that battle for the front there, but it will be Marcus Kanitska who comes over the line to take out race number 1 tonight for our sprint event. And David Gallo, Daniel Byrne, Carlins Motorsports bringing home in P2 and P3. Great move, great timing by Kanitska, and so far he's the man with the pace in the wet.
Well, we can see here as well, Doug Gowan's back in P10 on the road. He's going to start pole position for both races, Cowie, if he can maintain this position. Hopefully he gets a better start in race 2.
Someone's had a moment. Is that Verney?
Yes, I believe it was Bernie. Yep, he had it off track
Oh,
as we were hitting the
because
checkered.
oh, with the Doug Gowans getting the get out of jail free card as Bernie, who was running what P6
P8,
had
I
a
believe he
moment.
was. He was
or
P8 on
P8
the road.
had a moment on the last lap.
Oh, he had a little bit of a blink when he'd already gone off. So, oh, was he? So this
Well, that
was
happened at T1 on the last lap.
Keegan had spun it round. Why are we in scenic? Oh, because he's blinking in and out. That's why. There he is. So he'd already gone off. Maybe. Then he had to back out of it, let those guys through. This was Keegan's spin. So what's happened with Keegan and Nathan Verney? Why has that happened? So Keegan's had the spin.
Keegan's had a moment. And
so how's Verney ended up there? Because he was there by the time Keegan was turning around. Oh, he's just appeared in there apparently. I don't know what's happened. I don't even know if we could even check it. We've got a warm-up session.
He's maybe lost it into T1, but the grandpa Doug Gowans, well, he should probably buy a lottery ticket because he's going to get that front row pole start for race number 2.
You're right, Cow. You might need to drink off that one. Provisional results
Yeah,
for
at the end there.
Provisional results for race number 1 as they stand. Marcus Knitska P1 on the road ahead of David Gallo and Daniel Byrne, with Dave Roberts, Dylan De Bono making up the top 5 on the road. Alan Dawson, Mitch Noble, Matt Gerard, Cullen Hodgson and Doug Gowans make up the top 10. They will be reversed for the starting grid of race number 2, with Sam Katakazinos, Nathan Verney, Mark Cochran, Dean Sinkovich, Josh King making up the top 15. Benjamin Brook, Kaya Kinzel, Phil Ho and Martin Walker making up the top 18 cars on the road, with Timothy Schmalenberg as well as Matt Tessiera making up the top 20. Greg Johnson, Shane Ratcliffe, Callum Rossanida, Kevin Wakefield, Nick Schmalenberg make up the 25, with Keegan Caldwell making up the rest of the running order, with our race controllers not getting an opportunity to go on track here in the wet.
Wow. It's raining again. We've got more wet weather. There is a chance that it dries out. What'd you say, 3 o'clock? But I think that's going to be after this race is done and dusted. So it was dry at the start. Sorry, it was not raining.
Black? Why is iRacing gone black for?
It hasn't gone black for me.
It's not letting me click on anything. Hang on, I might need to reload my iRacing.
I'd say something's happened for you, buddy. Well, it's happened at a perfect time if it has, because we are in the middle of the warm-up, so...
So, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for this one. I'll quickly reload my iRacing. Oh, no, now it's back. That's weird. Why has it done that? Yeah, it's now letting me select drivers. That was very strange as to why that happened, but we have got it back. That was, yeah, what a weird one. Now it's not showing the session state, though, for some reason. Is it going to let me change cameras? It lets me change cameras. There we go. Everything's back. All right, we're good. Oh, very sorry about that one.
Well, we'd rather have a little mistake or a little issue in the warm-up.
No, now it's frozen. Now I'm you know what? I'm just going to reload it. I'm just going to reload it while we chat about that race, Cowie.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not liking it.
I can see the boys pushing hard already. I can see a few moments there as guys pushing hard, trying to find where there is some grip in this warm-up. But look, yeah, apart from the fact that we didn't get any safety cars, it was still a great race. There were some awesome battles early on. And, you know, the weather, these guys, it looks like they put in a bit of practice. We're not seeing the carnage we expected.
Yeah, I think it's good to see that they've been putting in the practice, though, Cowie, as well.
Of course.
Just trying to keep their cars as clean as possible. I am just going to give a pre-warning to everyone out there. So I have been having some internet issues the last couple of days. It's through the process of getting fixed. If this happens in the middle of the race, I don't know if we get it up and running again. It depends if I completely drop out or if it's just iRacing that drops out. But I just want to give the pre-warning to everyone who may be watching, or even to yourself, Cowie. So if I magically just disappear and the stream stops, that's probably it, because my modem is probably having a sook. So I just want to put that out there in case anyone gets confused. So, but I'm back in the session now.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, Bunny. Race control getting out of the way there, but just as I'm watching this warm-up, there's a few guys that are, losing the car in places, so it's proper wet out there, though, again, the rain sort of stopped on that middle section of the track.
Yeah, it's that must be where the rain is happening. I have got it back up on screen now. I've just reloaded all my overlays and stuff. Yeah, I think that's what's happening at the moment is majority of the rain's kind of occurring at that big point of the track, and then the outside of it is kind of just
T1,
staying
T2.
Yeah.
So it is early on in the lap, and then we've got a dry, no rain here in the middle section. Oh, and then it starts up again as you get around the back. So, yeah, so that is going to make it tricky, but, like, when I was watching the first couple of minutes, that practice guys were braking where they had broken at T1 in race number 1, and they were losing it. And you can see there, just in the straight there, Catacasinas, sort of the carp fishing on him, and a lot more puddles on that road. We're not seeing any dry bits of tarmac out there anymore. So this is going to be an interesting one as it starts bucketing down here at Twin Rigs Motegi.
So I have got me stuff all set back up now, so we should have overlays once again. We do indeed. And of course it's you had to crack it right then and there and lose all the background graphics, didn't you? SDK, thank you so much for that. Very, very helpful. All right. Starting grid for the second race of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, will be as follows. Dougie Gowans will lead the way ahead of Callan Hodgkinson, Matt Gerard, Mitch Noble, and Alan Dawson and Dylan DeBono. Dave Roberts, Daniel Byrne, David Gallo, and Marcus Knitska will make up the top 10. The rest of the running order will be how they lined up at the end of race number 1. And we'll get ready to go here for race number 2. Let me try and I'm going to try reload it again before the start of the race. Just see if that'll fix it. If it doesn't, then we're just going to have to run in its most basic form, unfortunately.
That's your overlay. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
had to pick it right now, didn't it? It just had to occur right now.
These things do happen. It has been an exciting evening so far. Good to see these guys having to deal with the rain. We got a little teaser in the off-season with the shadow round at Fuji. But it's racing proper in the middle of the season. And so far, good recovery from DeBono. P9 qualifying, he came home in P5. The Carlins boys did well to stay at the top of the grid. Marcus Knitska, he's shown he is prepared to send it in the wet and had the pace out there. Starts P10 race number 2, so he's got his work ahead of him. But again, only takes one little moment out here and we could see, a whole bunch of cars have a problem at T1.
Yeah, and obviously in the wet as well, we already saw a car spin around last race, obviously being Dougie Gowans. Whether he's going to be able to hold it together for this one, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully he can hold it together though. No, none of the logos are working.
Dougie's saying, how often has someone had pole position in both races? I'm actually not sure. I can't remember it happening, Dougie, so it might be a first.
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever actually occurred like that, but we're just waiting for Callan Hodgson to get back to grid. Just answering questions about the background. Unfortunately, graphics are not going to be as at the level they should be, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try and fix them throughout the race. But we are gridded up now. We're ready to go racing here for race number 2 here tonight. Gowan's on pole ahead of Hodgkinson. Who's going to get the jump down towards turn number 1, and who's going to be able to survive the wet running as we go racing here once again? There's a good start there from Hodgson off the start as we come down towards turn number 1. Look at the spray, Cowie. It looks like it's even more than race number 1.
Is that Knitska?
Oh, that's a big contact in the background.
Knitska run a really narrow line there. That's Tessuera, Schmalenberg, Wakefield, Brook, I think, caught up in that as well. but it is Gowans that leads the field away. I thought it was going to be Hodgkinson, but he maybe got caught on the inside, and I think that T1, the inside, they might be fairly wet there, the big puddles, so the outside line's the place to be. Dawson with a good start as well, up 2 positions. Mitch Noble back into the thick of things, and we got contact up back. That's Verney and Cochrane as well. So already a couple of moments on lap number 1, but they're getting going. Oh, these are the battle pack that survived. Oh, sorry, had their moment on the start line
Matty
as
Gerard's
well.
also
So
gone off as well in the background.
oh, that's from P3 too, Matty. That's going to cost. It's going to be costly. So a bit to look back at already, but I think though you can see they're crawling around. It is really, really wet out there. Slow lines, definitely the pace is going to be a lot slower than we saw at the start of race number 1.
Oh,
and
Vernie's
Vernie
crabbing. He may
this
need a
could
tow.
be, yep, could be a tow.
Could be a safety car as well, as Gowans is now going to lead them around here to start lap number 2. It's looking more and more likely, though, that it is going to be a safety car affair.
It's called out. He's been given permission to tow, but the safety car is on track for the first time tonight. But that was really treacherous there. Heavy rain, and the safety car at least gives us a chance to pick that first lap apart. Hamish?
Well, as I'm actually going to use the safety car period just to quickly fix the overlays very, very quickly. So, but we can have a look at it once I've gotten them done. Safety car is on track though, which is good to see. So, all I've literally got to do is just fix my style overrides. That'll fix everything. But I've got to be able to find them. Of course,
Our big gainer out of that. Martin Walker up 7, Timothy Schmalenberg up 7, Greg Johnson up 7, but Callum Ross and Nida up 10 into 13th, and Keegan Caldwell up 10 into 16th. So, you know, our biggest loser, Matty Gerard, down 15, Mark Cochrane down 11, and Nathan Verney down 14, Benjamin Brook down 11. So, you know, it's what happens in the wet, I suppose. You know, we have some big winners sometimes and some big losers.
Yeah, it's one that they'll claim quite a few victims.
On the radio, I just heard someone I think that might have been Dean Singerbridge saying that either himself or someone forgot to put on wet tyres. Maybe that could have been the result of that incident. It is one of the things, you know, you need to add to your checklist here for the F3s and the 86s for SRW, where rain is a factor. Make sure that you check what tyres you're on before you grid up.
Yeah, you've really got to make sure that is a priority when you are loading into a race like this one, ladies and gentlemen. Is remembering wet running, you want to try and get those wet tyres on, because they're not always set at the start of the race, Cowie. We've seen it catch quite a few drivers out before, where they've not been prepared for the wet weather to be on track, or even they just forget that it's wet, or that they actually need to apply those tyres as well. So,
well, you've only got to go out and race and start a race on your quali set once or twice before you remember to do those checks before you grid up, because I know I'm pretty sure every iRacer has done that at one stage, where they've gone out and started a race on a quali setup with 12 litres in it and had to pit on lap 3.
It's one of the it's one of the worst feelings, isn't it? You get into a race and you're like, oh no, I've forgotten to change my fuel from my quali setup into my race set.
0% rain due in half an hour. Ooh. So it may be where we get it dry near the end of the race, but I don't think that's going to dry out the track. What it might do is it might ramp up those times a little bit. We'll see the guys back down in the 23s. But
what it's going to do is now, though, it's going to throw every single spanner we could hope into the works here tonight, Cowie. Obviously, it's going to really throw out who could be major players. You know, anyone who could get caught up in an incident as well. It's going to completely change that outcome as we look on to the rest of this race. We were very overzealous with our safety car picks. I don't know if we're going to make the ones that we've chosen now. But, I mean, what's your perspective on this race so far, obviously? It's been wet. A lot of mistakes have been happening on track. I wish people wouldn't message me on Facebook while I'm trying to fix this. You know, what's the... It's just because I have Facebook open to get the links for all the relevant images. You know, what do you think? I mean, wet running, how would you try and look at this race, and how would you approach it from a driver's perspective?
Well, look, it comes... One of the things you try to do when you learn a new track, or even when you go back to a track you haven't been at for a while, is I'll generally find my first, dozen attempts out on track, I'll effectively be pushing and looking to see, where I can carry a bit more speed, where are the off tracks, where can I run wide, and what it's going to be here as a driver in these sort of conditions is you're going to be looking to see, where are the puddles, where do I need to avoid, maybe not what do I need to do, but what do I need to make sure I don't do.
Maybe also remembering as well that running that go-kart line too, and learning the wet line as well.
That's exactly right. I mean, it can be now at the moment. Looks like Doug Gowans has let him off straight away out of the last corner, so he's made sure he just, looked after himself, got away, wasn't worried about the cars behind him. But the spray, this is where it is crazy. Safety car restarts and the spray, and we can see there Dawson going really, was that Hodgkins going really, really deep there. He was worried about losing the rear. But under safety car restarts, this is where I saw it. I did a race early on GT3s when rain first come in, and the wall of spray is absolutely crazy. Go on board one of these cars, sitting about 8th or 10th, and you'll see what I mean.
Well, we've had already a couple of cars spun around, including Mitch
Noble.
Noble.
Oh no, Mitchy Noble.
Yep, he's had a bit of a moment here as the cars continue on up the road. See Dean Sinkovich trying to follow in behind a couple of cars here. We'll go on board with him. You did.
We've lost Sam Katagazinos as well to packet loss. So that could have big ramifications for the Pro-Am Championship.
That's big contact ahead of Kinnitzka with Hodgkinson. Was that his teammate as well?
Yeah, Roberts caught up in that as well. So, crazy moments here. Looks like they've all got going. And Philo's had a little moment as well. It is treacherous out there. More contact between Hodgkinson and was that Gerard?
That was Roberts.
That was Roberts.
That was almost he was trying to give him a receipt for kicking up his tyre.
Johnson just getting out of the way, letting all of those guys through. Oh, he's going to be careful there, Roberts. I'm surprised he didn't pit that car. There has to be damage on board, and that will be very difficult to drive. Oh, here we go. Trying to go around the outside. Three wide. Yeah, and just running out of room, and then it was eventually tyre on tyre, and it spat him out. But I wonder if that was a teammate trying to take advantage of, double up. So one teammate opens the door, the other one tries to go through. So maybe a little bit of, teamwork there that's gone awry and cost them both.
We can see
and it's Dawson out in front now. So what's happened out in front?
I'm scrambling right now to find answers to all of these questions, Cowie. I mean, so much has happened previously. Burns had off track, so's Gallo. Obviously, Kaya Kinzel, Philho, Marcus Kinnitzka, Shane Ratcliffe. I mean, there's so much. We'll try and find answers throughout the proceedings, obviously.
What's Anita now in P6 with the AMs, so he's up 17 positions at the moment, so benefiting from the chaos. Cal and Ross Anita.
Look at that. Dean Sinkovich back in the top 10. I mentioned last week he'd get a top 10. He did. Greg Johnson's also up in proceedings as well. Our podium from last week's race for the amateurs, Cowie, is back together again on track inside the top 10 and battling it out for points honours. And this is big, big news because Tesuero is back in P19. And when you take drop rounds into consideration, if they finish how they are, all three of them are going to jump Tesuero in the championship standings.
Well, early days yet. We're only about 10 minutes into this race, and that is Dawson, who's had a moment as well leading the race. So when it's treacherous and you're leading the race, and he had a second or two gap there, so just T1 catching out another driver. And he's just gone in way too deep. Tried to... Oh, no. A little bit of white line fever on the inside, maybe. Or just tried to carry a little bit too much
curb,
speed.
I think. Sam Catagazinos in the chat saying chances Sam Catagazinos iRacing crashing due to desktop. Crashing to desktop during rain, 100%. It's a shame to hear
you got
that,
through
Sam.
one of the races, Sam. That's why we thought you were going to make it tonight. Unfortunate.
But it's now a Velocity Sim Labs 1-2 on track, Cowie, with Gowans and DeBono leading the way.
Something must have happened to Gowans early because he was leading the race and then Dawson was ahead of him and now it's sort of switched back around and Gallo and Byrne, P3, P4 and DeBono, P2 up 4 spots. So Dylan DeBono, geez, he has a habit of putting himself in a position where he gets to talk to us every week. Oh, Gowans gone deep.
Off. Also, Hutto in the chat saying shout out to Kev for number 50 race. That'll be Kevin Wakefield in his 50th race.
That's right too.
They're going off left, right and centre at the moment.
Roberts on the inside. He's a lap down now, so getting well out of the way. But Tabono gets it handed to him. But look, it's not over yet. Oh, I see the big fishy there from Dylan as well as he got on the power. So this is treacherous conditions. And you don't need to be in a battle to make a mistake. It can happen at the blink of a moment around
also
Twin
had
Ring.
a spin just there as well. I'd say this is more treacherous, Cowie, than race number 1, it seems.
Oh,
do we? You know what I think's actually happened, Cowie? I think from the track drying up at the end of race number 1, and hear me out for a second here, drivers have gotten into the rhythm of driving with the drying conditions. All of a sudden, it's super, super wet again, and all of a sudden they've forgotten how to drive. They're driving how to drive. They're driving how they ended race number 1.
Look, they've been pushing the brake markers and that as that first race went on, so gaining in confidence. And then I saw it in the practice. When a few of the guys went out in the practice and they're making mistakes at T1. And I'm just thinking, it's got a bit heavier out there. You might have to pull things back again. And, look, we're seeing maybe the levels of trepidation out there, I suppose, that iRacing is going to put on offer when the weather is variable. You can get rain and you can get what did Forrest Gump call it, pea soup rain, and you can get stinging rain.
I always think that, the rain where, rain that has, little droplets doesn't feel as wet as Cochrane has a spin as the rain when it's warm and it's thick droplets. Those big, the heavy droplets of rain. I always feel like I'm getting wetter standing in that sort of rain than I am in light, sort of just sprinkle or rain like this where it's just regular droplets.
Oh, that's right. But it does look heavy and treacherous out there. We're seeing cars making mistakes all on their lonesome. Look at the puddle going down the bottom there as well, and those drivers trying to almost straight line. If you watch them, they're straight lining their way through that apex because there's standing water everywhere there.
Well, this is a big gap now. Sinkovic now leads the way for the amateurs. He's got 14 seconds to the top 5 ahead of him at the moment. That is a big old gap for him.
That's those moments mid-pack, and that's
Brooke.
Gerard
That was Brooke
having an off there as well.
That was Brooke. There's a lap down. We saw him involved in that lap 1 incident. Drive-through penalty for car 399, incident responsibility for the race start. So that is going to Keegan Caldwell, and I'll try and get back to that lap 1 moment because we haven't had a chance to look back at it just yet. So if we look here, this was the moment in question. This was down the main straight. On board with Benjamin Brooke. There's Caldwell ahead of him. He's trying to avoid. He's gone off track just slightly. I reckon Caldwell's actually slowed him up under brakes, and then that's what's forced the cars in behind to just ricochet into him at that point.
Possibly.
So what's happening?
I mean, it doesn't take much to add a little bit of carnage here, and
Caldwell.
Having one car slightly off pace.
Oh, that would be why. He was actually in behind Brooke. So that was what it was. It was actually a different car ahead of Brooke at that time. He's gone round. Brooks then just appeared in his way, and he's just gone straight into the back of him. He wasn't ready for him to slow down under brakes. He was a bit overzealous there off the start.
I think I'll say the car up the inside, yeah, that's right. And he had a great run himself, and then there's another car there, so had to avoid and create it. But now we're seeing cars coming into the pits, so I'd say that pit lane window is open. Hutto was a bit unsure what the fuel numbers were going to be in the wet. He felt it was going to be, you know, if it stayed dry, 34 lap race.
De
Well, that's
Bono's
not going to
gone
be
off.
the case. Yep, so easy to do, and I think this is what we're seeing. You know, drivers that we're seeing the smarter, I suppose the pro drivers, notice that they're not trying to go around. So yeah, he's got
he had
out
a
there,
bit of
white
a
line, it's
wiggle.
wiggled,
Yeah.
he's gone straight. But rather than try to turn that in and turn it into a spin, he's just kept it running straight out. We've seen Dougie Gowans do that. We've seen De Bono do that. Have we got safety car again? So there's more moments out on track. Who is called out for a tow? I didn't hear anything on the radio.
I'm going to look back now at some of our incidents. It may have been this one with Martin Walker, possibly. He has come back on track, but I don't know if he's still going.
What's contact?
He had
Is there
Ross
not?
Anita. No, that's Dawson in behind. He's just gone straight ahead. Would this have caused it? I don't know.
Don't think so, but there was quite a few moments there. It'd be interesting, Shovel, because quite a few drivers had pitted just that lap before as well. So that may well change the positions up front.
Here with Shane Ratcliffe. He's gone. I don't know. This is a weird one. He's kept it going. Oh no, it was Matt Tessio. So
He is in the pits. So let's have a look and see what
he
happened
was
to him.
parked up. So what's happened? So let's scroll back. That's him then going back to pits. I'll find his incident, which I think I've actually just found it here. So if this will be it right now. I know we're jumping all over the place. Oh yeah, backed it into the wall. So this would be the answer possibly for this one. So he's come down.
Yep. And that car's, he's going to try and drive it, and it's, you know, looked like the rear suspension was broken. And you can see there already the wheel lifting up, so that's, yeah, oh, he lost the rear wheel. That's why. So heavy contact there. Puddle setting him spinning, and that's what happens here. So safety car number 2. I don't know if 4 is going to come up tonight, but you might have a good chance of 3 being the magic number, Hamish.
Well, we're only 2 minutes away from halfway through. But remembering as well, we can only get it in the first 35 minutes, so we're actually probably halfway through our period of possible safety cars in this race. Being at
Safety car
18
do
minutes
breed
now.
safety cars. There'll be a
That is
few
true.
drivers that will take advantage of the wave around here. Walker, Brook, Catacasinos, if he got back in, he may well get a chance to get a lap back. Did he get back out there, Sam?
No. He's. I think he's given up at that point now that he's dropped out.
So I think Keegan Caldwell was given a black flag. He's had it cleared because of the safety car.
He had come in and committed to his black flag. He's already done it. That was when the cars were coming into the pits. He did his black flag for that.
Oh, that's good that they've cleared it just to make sure. That
And he's on his roof.
Oh no.
So what
That's
has
happened
happened?
under safety car conditions.
What's happened
Is
to
he
Keegan
pushing hard
Caldwell?
trying to get back? Oh, they're all slowed up. He's run straight into the back of Rosanita there, I think.
I think, unfortunately, that's, yeah, it's one of the wildest moments we've ever seen in the field, I would say.
And I think race control maybe just admonishing him for that, because he was sort of speeding down there. There's a bit of spray up ahead, probably going a little bit too quick.
I'd say so.
And
what we might do is, ladies and gentlemen, whilst we're on the safety car here for a moment, we'll take a quick little break. We'll join back in just a moment's time when we're getting ready to go green once again. Don't go anywhere. There's still plenty of action to come here out at Motegi in the rain. Safety car is in pit lane. We're back once again after that little break away. Thought it might have gone a lap longer, but it didn't. So we're going to get underway once again. Gallo's going to have the
holding
run.
onto the line, and now he's gone.
He has gone indeed. So we'll get our lap info back up as we get underway. 21 minutes into proceedings, lap 12 of this race as they come down towards.
Oh no. Almost contact there from the car and the Motorsports boys too, but you can see the three of them fanning out just to get a little bit of clear vision. So,
King's had a spin. That's King.
Who's that?
That was Josh King.
Josh King. Unfortunate moment there from Josh. Going to put him right to the back. Oh no, Dean Singovich has had a moment as well.
Inside the top 10, leading the class. That's now given the lead to Greg Johnston.
He's got Konitska coming back through as well, so this will be, Pro versus Am. So, Greggy giving him clear amount of space there, and you can see that outside line that Konitska drove there. Just had more grip, was able to drive around the outside. That's what we're talking about, go-kart lines in the wet.
Of course, Greggy running for Tourette's Awareness, I believe, week next week is that one. That's what the new livery is about. He plans on running it for the rest of this season as well, with only 3 rounds to go after this week. So some different colours for him on his F3 and any other racing cars he has in SRW for this next month or so, as he has Hodgson all over the back of him. It's pretty interesting.
One of our drivers that supports his causes quite passionately. Oh, moment there from King again. He gets out of the way as Noble comes through there. That could have been very, very sketchy. Up front, it's Gallo and Byrne. They've swapped positions?
Yes, I believe they have. Hutto saying someone order sunshine. It doesn't look like there's rain anymore. I was about to say that. Whether the track's going to dry out by the end of the race in the next 15 or so minutes,
there's a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit of dribble.
There's still rain in sections. I think it's sort of this, all you can see there. It's now section 1 that seems to be dry, and it's the middle section of the track that's wet. And there's a moment, Hodgkinson and Johnson, they were close. I wonder if there was contact there.
I'd say there was. Dave Roberts had also had a moment as well. So where was he? He was with Kaya Kinzel-Filho down into turn number 1. So he's had, that inside line catching another driver out.
Yep.
That's his own doing.
The driver's doing well to avoid contact there at T1. And then a little bit deep. And he's just come across in front of Greg, and that is just unfortunate.
I would say
with nowhere to go.
Yeah, in that moment, he's done well to hold brakes. I think in a move like that, the car's down the inside, you're almost better actually not holding the brakes, letting the car roll out in front, because he likely actually would have missed Greg in that scenario if he'd done that. Obviously, we prefer drivers to hold brakes, as Vernie's also now gone off.
I think in the wet, you're a passenger sometimes. So.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's a passenger. There's no way he's going to be able to pull it up in the wet necessarily. So he might have just been better off just to try and move it out the way. I don't know. I don't know if he would have been able to do that in that moment in time. As it's the wet weather's still catching some drivers out here tonight. Top 3 battle, though. David Gallo, Daniel Byrne, and Dylan DeBono fighting it out hard here for the lead of this race at Motegi. Remember, in the rain last time, it was Dylan DeBono who was the talk of the town. Gallo and Byrne were nowhere to be seen, but here tonight they've put the practice in, they've worked hard, and it's paying dividends for them as they lead the way into the final 15 minutes of this race.
Now with Dylan DeBono, he might have some help very soon. A fast closing Doug Gowans will make this a Carlin's Motorsport v Velocity Sim Labs battle to the finish. So, and even sort of Dawson and Gerard, they're having their own little battle there back behind, and that's starting to close in as well. So we're seeing sections of the track where it's not raining, and we're starting to see these pros find those extra few sort of tenths. We've got a gap of, was that 8 seconds from Konitska in 7th back to Schmalenberg in 8th, the first of our AM runners.
It's about 10 seconds actually. It's gapped a little bit more as you said that. So
yeah,
it's a big one.
These two, and Matty Gerard P6 at the moment for the Pro-Am. So, again, weather just throws it up, and we're seeing Pro-Am, and Am all sitting inside the top 10.
car 399 40-point post-race penalty for dangerous driving. That is to Keegan Caldwell during the safety car period. So he has been given a post-race penalty for that one. Stephanie Piccoli into the chat here tonight. Good to have you in here, Pickles, as she cheers on Mark Cochran.
She missed a bit of action there. There's a fair bit going on. I think just about everyone's had their moments tonight, and a few drivers more than one. How is Mark going at the moment?
He's P11 on the road, P3 in class at this stage. As more and more drivers battling it out.
More importantly, though, he's pitted. So the question is these fuel numbers that the top, the top 6 cars haven't pitted. Now, is the 2 safety cars and the wet running taken enough out that these guys don't need to pit? It was 18.3 litres, 40% capacity. They use about a litre in the dry. So, say if they use 0.8, 0.7 in the dry, that would sort of get them to 20, 22, 23 laps. With 16 laps in here, they're lapping about a minute 26. So, say if we work on a minute 30, we've got 13 minutes left. So, that's going to be another 18 laps. And that pit window would normally be sort of 9 to 25. So that'd be 34. Oh, I don't know if they can do 34 laps. I reckon that the front guys may well have to pit again, and that would put
Marcus Konitska,
Marcus Konitska, in P1. So yeah.
What I just seen as well was car 399 has also been given a pit lane start for round number 7 for failing to do his drive-through penalty correctly. So a poor night here from Keegan Caldwell. It goes from bad to worse. And, really going to hurt the ego here, it seems, going forward. But the battles at the front of the field continue on. Gallo and Byrne still leading the way with De Bono in behind. But the question is, do they need a pit stop in this race? Can they make it home on this tank of fuel? If we get another safety car as De Bono tries to launch it down the inside of Byrne, can he get this done onto the main straight? Oh, and he's trying to get the drive off the corner. Does well, but it's going to be a 1v1, I should say, down towards turn 1. De Bono looks like he wants to have this locked in, though, but Byrne's not giving up just yet.
Tried to close it down. He thought he had the gap in front. Tried to close it down, but Byrne got a better exit on that outside line and was able to hold around the outside. But he's got it done. Good driving from De Bono, and he's now the meat in the Carlin's Motorsport sandwich.
Well, Gallo now just going to try and build the gap as best as possible. De Bono's going to try and bridge it and keep him in his line of sight. What I was going to say before was if these guys need a pit, obviously, it puts Marcus Konitska P1 on the road. If we get another safety car, though, that may guarantee them to get home without needing a pit stop. But it's a big if. I mean, it's... I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. It's going to be close. It's going to be incredibly close.
If these guys did not pit under that, so they're going to run as long as they possibly can. So we won't see them come into the pit yet. If the fuel window is normally about 25, say this extends out to near lap 30, so we've still got probably, it's only 10 minutes left, so maybe 15 laps in this race left. So it might be on the bubble. It's going to be close.
Can you do maths, Cowie?
I can.
There's 10 minutes left. They're doing a minute 20 per lap.
Well, you should be, it's 8, not 15. Oh, the wrong way around. It's about 7 laps left. So that does put it right on the edge of that window, that 25 laps. So, yeah, these guys, they're certainly racing like they're not saving fuel. So, yeah, maybe they can get home. Stephanie Piccoli saying that, Mark's pretty good at saving fuel. Well, Mark is one of those drivers that's already pit, and he's in a battle with Dave Roberts at the moment. I see them flipping positions at the moment.
Battling it out hard here for the back end of the top 10. Nick Schmalenberg's dropped out of the lead of the race, though, for the amateurs. How's he done that? Is he pitted? He pit on lap 1, so... That means that, no, he's had a moment. Timothy Schmalenberg's off track, and he's got a fast approaching Nick Schmalenberg. These guys have been battling it out for the lead. But Mitch Noble is now lurking, and all of a sudden, all the amateurs are together on track and trying to battle it out for the win of this class right now. As you can see, Mitch Noble wanting to go up the inside of Nick Schmalenberg down towards the end of the back straight. Backs out of it at the last moment. Smart move there from the Canberra local as he continues to put the pressure on Nick Schmalenberg.
Well, we've just seen, like we were seeing these guys were further up, man, and it takes one little moment and they're suddenly in the middle of a battle. And there's that Cochrane and Schmalenberg battling hard at the front of this pack at the moment. Cochrane a Pro-Am there, but he's got the AMs nipping at his heels at the moment. Looks like he's finally maybe cleared that little battle.
Matt Gerard is into the pits. So I'd argue if Matt's come in, I reckon that might mean that Gowans and De Bono are going to need to come in, because they will be running a very similar strategy as Timothy Schmalenberg's now brought it in. Kai Kinzel-Philo has had a moment in the last corner, but he's kept it running, which is good to see, but now he's dropping positions. Mitch Noble of Team SRW is now leading the way. Kevin Wakefield, in his 50th race start, is now P2 in his class and trying to get up towards the top step for the amateurs.
It's like a game of 52 pickup at the moment.
It really is.
So every time we talk about someone, then something else happens, and it just changes the order. We're probably worthwhile not talking about the championship until this one's done and dusted by a couple of hours. We might still get some changes. Or Gowan's close on the starting to use a bit of the curbing there. Always dangerous, but I haven't noticed any precipitation on the track now, so maybe it's finally starting to dry up with 10 minutes to go, and you can start to see a couple of sections that look a bit drier than others on the track.
Well, I'd say it's not all over until the checkered flag flies, as it normally would.
De Bono's got through on Gallo now as well, so outright leader, and he's got a couple of seconds. So did Gallo have a moment, or is De Bono
we had it on screen before. He got it done through turn one and just snuck up the inside as Greg Johnson now goes a lap down on the leader of this race. But the question is, does De Bono, Gallo and Byrne, as well as Gowans, need a pit stop? Knitsk is currently the top-seeded car who's had a pit stop here tonight. He sits P5 on the road, and we're going to be right on the bubble for these guys running out of fuel on the line. But De Bono's pushing hard. He's just trying to gap at this point.
I'm thinking Gallo and Byrne have realised it, and they're going to try and see if they can get home without a save. De Bono may be realising he's got no chance, so he's just checking out, going to try and put in some quality laps and pit and see where he ends up. The pit lane time for most of these drivers has been about the 25 to 30 second mark. 30 seconds back for De Bono would put him back in about, P7, P8.
He is in, and remembering as well, though, that it's also the stop time we've got to take into consideration. As the top three all come in, Gowans, does he come in this time by? He stays out. Knitsk, though, is going to go P2 on the road, and it may not be very long until he claims the lead of this race after realising he needs a pit stop. Got the freebie under safety car, and this could be a massive blunder from the front end of the field, as they are now going to drop off the podium as Knitsk comes through. De Bono somehow come out in P3, so that's at least worked out for him. This is now going to be provisional P2 for him on the road, but he has to battle Marcus Knitsk to the end of this race if he hopes to survive.
Well, that is interesting, that quick lap from De Bono, just extending it out. He's got almost a 4-second gap back to Gallo and Byrne now, but more importantly, he's got Knitsk in his sights. And, once Gowans comes in, this will be the battle for P1.
We'll see if De Bono can get it done here. Just about 5 minutes left to go here tonight, Cowie. If you'd gone for your original prediction here, you would have actually had it right for safety cars, if you've only had two.
It's saying if I had a wussed out and gone for two.
Yes.
I might have got it right, but yeah, no, I was never going to wuss out. But credit to the drivers out there tonight. We've seen some sort of quite a few moments and all that, but only really a couple that have brought out the safety car. So it's been pretty good driving and very close, as you've said there, Steph. And Mitch Noble having a moment there. How does that put him as far as the M podium goes? Gowan's coming in now, so definitely not being able to make it home. So this is the battle for P1.
one thing I've noticed
we
as
look
well, Cowie, we're talking about AM podiums. Kevin
Oh,
Wakefield.
deep under brakes.
pitted.
DeBono gets it done. Carries a lot of speed through there, but that was a confident move, and Knitska just didn't want anything of it. So I'm wondering if DeBono went with fresh tyres, and that might be the difference, or it's just a confidence game. But we know that Marcus had great pace in race number 1, so you know, I don't think it's confidence.
I think it's just willingness to try and hold position, not try and cause an incident. I was about to mention Kevin Wakefield before, who was leading for the AMs in his 50th race, and now he's had a moment and come into the pits. So unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to win this one. Sinkovic is also in. That means Callum Rossinida's now leading the amateurs. For the Pro-Am field, it's now Matt Gerard who's leading the way. And obviously the top 3 battle at the moment, DeBono versus Knitska versus Gallo. Knitska's now dropped back to P2 as Dylan DeBono looks ahead to take another win here tonight and extend his championship lead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, look, the big moment between DeBono and Gallo last week at Long Beach has probably hurt Gallo more than it's hurt DeBono. DeBono is having a breakthrough season with the F3s where he's just been ticking over those victories, and you know, it's sort of taking points out of them each week, and that gap is just getting bigger and bigger. And on track now, he's got the gap out to 1.6 seconds over Knitska. So, you know, really sort of settled in. He's got his rhythm here. He's got his pace. Though, look at that moment there. That is how close it was to changing everything that I just said in the last 30 seconds.
They really like to keep us on the edge of our seats and almost make us look like liars tonight, aren't they, Cowie? Like, we say one thing and then another thing almost happens straight away. And it's like, well, you know, we're trying to spit some possible facts here, and then you just disprove them straight away. I feel like a physicist right now trying to test theories, but DeBono leads the way.
Interesting, because I was thinking of Occam's razor. You know, generally when all else fails, the obvious thing is generally, you know, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, you know, tonight that has not been the case, so it's almost been opposite to a night of you know, physics around the table. These guys, you know, trying to work out any way they can keep the car straight and keep the pace in it. And, you know, when you're right on the edge and the car wiggles, you know, you've only got a split second to catch it so far.
They're not only wrestling the cars around the track, Cowie, I'm wrestling to get a semblance of what could possibly happen, as it's a complete unknown at the moment. DeBono's going to cross the line. We're going to have 2 laps to go, as he has crossed before 1 minute 20 left in this race. So we will continue on for another 2 laps here with him in the lead. He sets fast lap of the race, 123.155 over that last lap. He's starting to check out now from Marcus Knitska at the front of the field. And looks to take home another victory this season, possibly on his way to winning a pro championship here in Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. Big thank you obviously goes out as we get into our final couple of minutes now to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Shannon's Insurance, Warren & Brown Tools, as well as our other sponsors, including Motorsport Australia, who helps make the Toyota GR86 Nationals an official Motorsport Australia official series, as well as the other sponsors we have, NeuroPower, Shunt Scenery, Groom Industries, and DSL Rail Services. Thank you for supporting the series. Thank you for supporting the league as well. If you guys want to support us on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon. It's completely free, and you'll get notified anytime we go racing across all 5 nights a week that we do here on YouTube.
Matt, so that is Martin Walker. He tried to get to the end if he could, but unable to do so, so he's now coming in the pits and tumbling down the order. By the looks of it here, it's only the top 11 cars on the lead lap, so plenty happening in this race. And, you know, the pace between the pros up front and some of the mid-packers, well, you know, it's not just the pace, it's the fact that
Knitska's had to come in. Knitska's had to come in. Just off that. He's had to come in on the last lap. White flag lap now for this race. DeBono's got a hell of a lead over Gallo and Byrne, who are 6 seconds off the back of him. All of a sudden, after everything we said that Knitska would be on the fight for the win, they've done it again, Cowie. They've completely made us switch back on our claims, as the top 4. He did. The top 4 that we had before the pit stop have now reverted back to how they were, like the pit stop didn't even happen. As DeBono leads to Gallo, to Byrne, to Gowans, to Gerard, to Dawson, to Ratcliffe. Knitska's in the pits. Roberts now takes his spot. Crocker and Verney. So that's now the top 10. Knitska's now dropped out of the top 10, going so long on this tank of fuel and could lose a spot to Rosanita. Doesn't do that, though, as Vernie and Cochrane now battle for the end of the Pro-Am podium at the back of the top 10.
He pitted lap 10. He should have been well within the window, so I think that's maybe just thinking there was going to be another safety car, maybe not putting enough fuel in. Would only been able to put 8 litres in, which maybe got him 10 or 11 laps. So yeah, maybe he just couldn't put in enough.
You mustn't have, but someone who did put in enough was Dylan DeBono, who's now going to come across the line after a wild and racky race. He comes home P1 on the road for Motorsport Mobility Resort Motegi.
Velocity Sim Labs.
Yeah, Velocity Sim Labs Mobility Resort Motegi here tonight. I'm always used to calling it Twin Ring. David Gallo, Daniel Byrne make up the podium to Doug Gowans and Matt Gerard, who comes home P1 for the Pro-Ams. That's now 2 P1s in one night for Velocity Sim Labs. Dawson's going to come home P6. Ratcliffe's going to come home P7 on the road, P2 for his class as he comes around the final corner. Fast approach by Dave Roberts in behind him. Mark Cochrane looks to wrap up P3 for the Pro-Ams, but Vernie's not going to let him have it anytime soon. Round the final corner, it's going to be a drag race to the line between them. Is Cochrane going to outlast? He only just gets it by 0.07 of a second. And Knitska, after having a pit on the white flag lap, he comes home P11 on the road. Rosanita comes home P1 for the amateurs. That was the complete toss-up, as Matt Tessieruero has not finished this race. He will now lose the lead of that championship, and the amateurs is anyone's game going into the final 3 rounds of the season.
Oh, I feel for Marcus Knitska. I thought he had it done, but it looks like, sort of, he couldn't put enough fuel in the car. I'd say he come in on lap 10. So, maybe it only taken 8 litres. I would say, yeah, but 8 or 9 litres out of the tank, so he could only put another 10 or so litres in, and it looks like he needed, 1 litre more?
Maybe 2 litres, just so he could get it to the line.
Maybe 1. He pitted on the penultimate lap, so it's probably only 1 litre in it, and maybe needed the safety car to go 1 more lap. But wow, you've got to love when those strategies come into play. And Dylan DeBono up 7 in this race. Dylan DeBono up 5. David Gallo up 7. So the leaders had to do the work and survive through. And even at the end there was still a bit of doubt.
Well, there is no doubt in my mind right now that this season is only just heating up. It's only just starting to cook as we come into the final 3 rounds of the season next week. Anything is to play for here across all 3 classes in the Formula 3 Nationals, brought to you by Shannon's Insurance. Provisional results up on your screen now for this race here tonight. And Dylan DeBono comes home P1 ahead of David Gallo and Daniel Byrne to make up the podium. Doug Gowans, Matt Gerard make up the 5 to Dawson, to Ratcliffe, to Roberts, to Cochrane, to Vernie. That's the 10. No amateurs in the 10 this week, with Knitska, Rosanita in behind P1 on the road for the amateurs ahead of Schmalenberg. Brooke King and Nick Schmalenberg make up the top 16, ahead of Hodgkinson, Kaya Kinzel, Philho, and Kevin Wakefield on circuit. As we then move down to Dean Singovich, Martin Walker, Greg Johnson, Mitch Noble, Keegan Corbell, Matt Tessieruero down a heap of laps in this one after a couple of penalties applied to Keegan, and Matt unable getting back out on track as Sam Katakazinos dropped out on the first lap.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a shuffle there for some of the podium results. Nathan Verney getting some good points. Mark Cochrane getting some good points. Unfortunately, Sam Katakazinos having, he got some points in race 1, but race 2, not much of a haul for him there with some internet issues. His PC not liking the rain. So look, it's going to be interesting to see where it all seems. We do have a drop round available, some of the for the drivers. So if you do have that bad week, you can exclude it out. Can't take your drop round in the last round, but yeah, shuffle the decks, buddy. It's all over the shop now.
Yeah, it's you load up, you get ready to go, you strap yourself in and hope that we're going to get some hard, fast racing across these final 3 rounds. We'll quickly run through the calendar coming up for the rest of the season as we wait for the drivers to hop in to have a chat to us here. So obviously next week we head over to Canada for an F1 Shadow Round out at Montreal. Going to be another barn burner for that one, but also a race, Cowie, just like Long Beach, just like Motegi, could throw up some absolutely massive implications for championship in terms of moments that can happen, in terms of who can be involved in those incidents, any penalties that get applied, and knowing that they only have one more round and that they can drop after that at Laguna Seca, and then we end out at Barcelona for another F1 Shadow Round. Big 3 rounds to come. Big implications to come for those 3 rounds. All 3 of them could throw up chaos in terms of this championship, and I don't think it's going to be over until we get to that checkered flag flying out at Barcelona in the final round.
Well, one thing we did see tonight is the front runners in the Pro Championship once again, bringing to the top of the leaderboard. And Dylan DeBono, well, if he keeps winning, he's making it pretty hard for his competitors to chase him down with only 3 rounds to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one as we're just going to transfer so then we can get some nice shots here of the cars as they go around when we interview them. We have got Mr. Rosanita in there, Cowie. Do you want to drag him in and we'll have a quick chat to him?
I think so. As our M winner for this evening, we do want to have a chat to our winners for both the M and the Pro M classification. So drag him in and let's see what he thought of tonight's race.
Mr. Rosanita, a survival of the fittest out there in absolutely torrential conditions. Did you manage to remember your towel and your umbrella this week, or was it just kind of run until you get under cover and then hope for the best that no one else could?
I think at this point the car's basically a bathtub, so it doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, you just get dry once you go home, I reckon.
Well, it was topsy-turvy out there tonight, man. Like, you're in the hunt, and then you're not in the hunt, and then someone else falls out, and you're back in the hunt, and then, with a couple of laps to go, you find yourself on the top step. Battles all around. Was it just survival of the fittest?
Yeah, there was a lot of survival. A couple of corners kept catching me out, coming under that bridge. I actually worked out, I think there's actually paint on the road on the inside of that corner, and that's why I kept spinning out early on, so I worked out to give that a wide berth, and then every time we went around that last corner, it seemed to be getting wetter and wetter. So I started braking at the 100 board, just so that way I know I can pull up and get round.
Well, we were going to ask the drivers tonight, but, it looked like it was starting to sort of dry out in sections at the end of race number 1. Did that mean that when you went into race number 2, you were maybe a little bit overconfident in places?
Yeah, although I think the rain was picking up at the start of it. It was a bit hard to tell, but like it seemed it caught that, like, particular last corner seemed to catch a lot of people out. So I reckon the rain was increasing or something at the time. And then towards the end it got better, but yeah, it's hard to say really.
Well, Callum, obviously, big 3 rounds to come. Montreal next week, which could be another scenario of survival of the fittest. Then obviously Laguna and Barcelona to end out the season. How are you feeling going into these final 3 rounds? You would now be leading the amateur championship after drop rounds after this race, as Matt Teixeira didn't complete the race, finished P25 on the road. So good chunk of points for you here tonight, especially over the likes of Dean Singovich, who was 3rd in the championship, as well as Greg Johnson, who was P4, and they finished well down the order as well. You're looking pretty strong at the moment, but I guess it's all going to come down to trying to stay clean across those 3 races where anything can happen and any sort of weather can happen as well. How do you feel knowing that now, and will it change how you try and approach these next races, or just try and continue on how you are at the moment?
I don't think I could change much. I'd probably just stick my head down and get some good practice in, and hopefully that'll do it. But yeah, the pressure's on.
Oh, mate, hopefully you don't end up cracking under pressure, and hopefully you can hold strong leading into these final 3 races. Let us know who helps get you on track. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And for myself and Cowie, big congratulations on your P1 for the amateur class here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to you guys for commentating, and thanks to SRW for running it, and thank the boys from Triple F for training and that, and thanks to the family for watching.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck for Montreal next week. Hopefully you can survive as well as you did out there tonight. If we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, mate. All right, Cowie, we'll get in our Mr. Matthew Gerard in here. The Kiwi gets it up on P1 after an absolutely devastating race last week out at Long Beach. Matty, how was the reset after that one last week? Because I know it was not a preferred performance for you, but you backed it up here tonight with a P1 in the wet. I mean, you're a Kiwi. You're used to racing in the wet. We wouldn't expect anything less from you getting the win.
Yeah, well, let's pretend last week never happened. Did the old rage quit and everything. So,
Yep.
Pit lane start for this first race. And it was because of the wet. It was just let everyone else spin off once again and just slowly pick people off. I did a bit of practice earlier on today in both wet and dry. And so I knew I had a bit of pace there in the wet. You know, I sort of sussed out where I could run. And then Doug gave me a few little pointers, which gave me another sort of half a second odd per lap, which was really good. So
Same question that I had for our AM winner, that drying out of race number 1 and then the rain picking up in race number 2, did it catch you out?
Not overly. No. Actually, no, it probably did, to be honest. Those first couple of laps, these cars are shocking in the wet. It really takes a lot to get the heat into the tyres, and it just seemed like it really came down at the start of that race. And as you probably saw on the stream, that I lost it on lap 1, and it was a corner that you usually take flat out, and we're having to let off to be able to make it round without spinning.
Well, obviously, tough track next week once again, Matty, for Montreal, and then out to Laguna Seca, Barcelona for the final 2 after that. Could be a similar scenario to Long Beach last week, and even tonight for Motegi in the unpredictability. Obviously, close quarters to the walls, close racing with other cars around there. What's the mindset going into that one, and just trying to keep your head straight for the majority of that running? Because obviously we hate to see drivers lose their cool on track, obviously, especially one that is normally such a cool, calm competitor. I mean, you did well to survive tonight. Is it going to be try and keep a similar mindset into next week and just hope for the best?
Yeah, I think so. It's race my own race. I'm not out there to take on the pros or anything. I think I'm about 13th overall on the championship, so there's no chance of me getting up into the top 3, I don't feel. Not with the quality that we're racing against. Do I have a chance for the Pro-Ams? I think maybe a podium, but definitely I don't think I'll win it. There might be another round that I can't make it due to work. So it's really just race my own race, keep out of trouble, and just carry on. Fingers crossed.
Well, at the moment, you're in a tight championship battle with Kaya Kinzel-Filho, who had a poor run compared to you here tonight. Wasn't able to get in the top 5, obviously. So you did garner some good points on him. Callan Hodgkinson similarly. And Sam Katakazinos, who was leading the championship, but unfortunately for him, dropped out due to the rain. So maybe a little bit of a lifeline for that one. We'll have to wait and see. But hopefully we can see you on track for the final 3 rounds. If we can't, hopefully you have a good running in any other races that you do have with us here towards the end of the season. Let us know who helps get you and Velocity Sim Labs out on track. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And for myself and Cowie, big congratulations on your P1, especially off the back of last week, which I know a race like that can normally break someone. But you've done well to come back and come out strong in P1 once again.
Cheers, boys. All right. So we'd like to thank Velocity Sim Lab, all the boys involved, all the usual, Dylan, Doug, Sam, Martin, Tyler, all the boys, Cam, here to race YouTube channel, our Haikoki Power Tools, and all you boys in the background doing your thing. Makes for a great stream and good racing.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck at Montreal next week. If we don't get a chance to speak to you for whatever reason, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead as well.
Beautiful, boys. Thanks very much, eh?
Thanks, mate. All right, Cowie, we might as well bring in our Carlin's double. What do you reckon, since they both ended up on the podium?
Bring them both in together.
Yeah, we'll. I'll quickly drag them in.
We can ask them how We can ask the Carlin Motorsports boys how working together almost put them inside each other there, getting near the end of the race down into T1. How close was that, Daniel?
Yeah, it was a couple of clinch moments there where I said to David, I go, wow, that I was really, really close there. But I think we might have even got a 0x at one point. So it was really, really close, but had to stay close at the same time, or else we were just going to drop off. So had to keep pushing.
You guys were at the front on those restarts, and we could see you fanning out 3 wide for the spray, just so you could see a bit of tarmac. How do you think it was like for the boys behind you?
Oh, it was horrible just having one car ahead of us. That it's really hard to see at the start of race 2. I think I started maybe 6th or 7th or something like that, and going through that first S's section, I was just guessing. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see the grass. I couldn't see the track. All I could see was a few red blinking lights, and I was just thinking, well, if I stay kind of in the middle of those red blinking lights, hopefully I'll be safe. So it was pretty sketchy, following closely.
So obviously, Daniel, you're pretty much out of the championship battle at this point, but David, you're still within somewhat of a shout, but it's pretty much going to take you beating Dylan DeBono next across 3 rounds to try and keep a hand on the trophy that you don't want to necessarily hand back after winning it last season. Next 3 rounds, obviously Montreal next week, Laguna Seca, Barcelona after that. It's going to be a tough run home, but a good set of tracks for these cars. Daniel, I'll start with you first. Obviously, out of a championship battle, you're not necessarily fighting for it at this point. Is it now try and help David get up to the top step once again, or is it just helpful that you guys fight it out and whatever happens?
I think I'm going to do as best as I can, but I'm not going to get in the way of David at all. So if he's behind me at any point and he's got to run on me, I'm not going to try and protect the line or anything like that. I'll let him have it. But yeah, look, I like racing, so I'm going to keep racing. If I'm up the front, I'm racing with the likes of DeBono or someone like that. I'll keep battling. Just a bit of fun, isn't it? So yeah, I won't step back at all. I'm in it. See how we go.
Well, what I mean by that is, like, are you going to try and help David in the fact of try and keep Dylan off that top spot and hope that David can get up on the back of him and put some pressure on him as well, play the team game as well as trying to, get yourself some wins or get yourself some positive performances off the back?
Yeah, 100%. He's the priority now. So yeah, look, I'll try and stay up the front. I'll stay at the pointy end, and if I can help out, I definitely will, 100%.
And how does it feel, David, for him finally to be working with you, not against you?
No, we generally sort of work together pretty well, so we keep it sort of clean, and we do challenge each other a bit from time to time, but it's good. So next 2 or 3 rounds, it should be interesting. Might have to put a couple of Carlin's practice sessions together, maybe.
Well, I remember talking to you boys with the shadow round at Fuji, and you said you hadn't done a lot of running in the rain. Was there a bit more prep this past week or so, knowing that this one was going to be a wet one?
Last night, I reckon, for the season was our first sort of practice session together. So we haven't put much in, but it's sort of, I'm not a big fan of the rain, so I definitely had to put some in. But I think it sort of paid off tonight. Even then, I still didn't enjoy it, but it was good fun.
You know what? When I was setting up the session last night, Cowie was in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, yeah, we have to put the practice in, or else he's going to call us on it. So yeah, we put a little bit of practice in, and I think that's why we were a little bit further up front there in qualifying. The track was drying near the end of the qualifying session, and we got a little bit tripped up with a couple of lapped cars on the last lap, which allowed, I think, who was it, Dougie?
Dougie timed it perfectly. He crossed the line as it hit 15.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
It only just counted.
Yeah, it was amazing. The delta was just green. Every lap it was more and more green. So yeah, the track was definitely getting quicker, and yeah, we just missed out on that last.
Was it the reverse of that in race 2? As I was sort of said to a couple of the other drivers, it looked like it was drying out at the end of race 1, and then race 2 it was bucketing down. You had cold tyres into T1, and everyone going sideways.
Yeah, exactly. It was an adjustment again. The whole race felt like we were adjusting, so it was getting a little bit drier, then it was getting a little bit wetter again, and yeah, it's really, really well done the way iRacing have done it, I think. But yeah, it's challenging. You've got to really stay on top of it and just kind of feather the throttle and just trying to feel out every lap. You know, every corner feels different every time you go around it. So that's good fun.
Well, just before we let you both go, David, I have got a question for you since we couldn't speak to you last week. What was the thought process when you come around the final corner at Long Beach and then all of a sudden you're on your airbox looking at the ground instead of looking at the road ahead? We kind of surmised what might have been going through your head at that point, but I guess from your direct perspective, how did you feel after that one, and do you think anything could have been done differently off the back of it?
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to bring this up, so
I had to.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think sort of coming into that final quarter, I saw Dylan had spun. I think I panicked at the same time. So again, overshooting it and thinking, I can sort of maybe get that position back, which would have been crucial, that's for sure. But happened to sort of run wide and we just come together, So a spew. Yeah, that's all I can say. It's unfortunate, that's for sure. But yeah, we're close, I suppose, race in that race.
Did you guys kiss and make up in the green room there before, did you?
No, no, it's still on good terms. But yeah, who knows what the next 3 rounds could bring, so we'll wait and see.
We love the battles, boys, and we want to see, you're battling hard out there, so, it's in good humour by the sounds of it, so, these things will happen on track, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it, so we're, we do push, but unfortunately, I think that one was on me. Yeah, so.
Oh, well,
Live and learn.
Exactly right, mate. Exactly right. Well, let us know who helps get you boys on track at Carlin's Motorsport. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And a big congratulations on yet another double podium for you guys in Carlin's Motorsport here in Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, shout outs to Carlin's Motorsport, Drive Radar 8, Glam Radar, Little Rara, Eagles Automotive. Shout outs to Atari, Bianca, Frenchie and Minka, and Zach and Levi.
Very good, boys. Well, best of luck for Montreal next week. May throw another spanner or two in the works out there. Hopefully we'll get a good race out of that one. And if for whatever reason we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Good, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll drag in our P1 in Dylan DeBono. Mr. DeBono, another round, another win for you, this time in wet conditions. It appears that you're a bit of a fish out there in terms of being able to stay keen in the wet, stay at pace in the wet, but wrestle it all over the joint as well. But we did see a couple of mistakes from you, though, especially one where you went just kind of straight ahead off the track. But all in all, a good race for you once again, and you extend your championship standings in P1 for the next few rounds. How did that one feel for you?
Yeah, mate, like you said, there's a few mistakes. I would like to have my time over again. Like driving straight off on the safety car, that could have cost it. But yeah, I didn't think I'd have the pace tonight. After practice, I was struggling a lot. I was about a second off everywhere. Just sort of just had a look at how I was driving again and fixed a few things up, and yeah, I had the pace in the last race.
But didn't get a lot of practice in beforehand? Because it seemed like you're sort of a little bit off the pace in quali, and even before it sort of ramped up at the end of the session. But you found your feet as the night went on.
Yeah, I was way underprepared this week. Had a fair bit going on at home, and I just didn't have the time to put in the laps and that sort of stuff. So it pays a big difference when you don't do much practice during the week. And perfect example tonight. I was a second and a half off in qualifying, and that just shows if you want to be up the front in this competitive field, you've got to put in the time and effort. And I'll sure be doing that again.
And what did you think about the strategy though? When that safety car come out, it must have been just a lap or two too early to come in, because like you front six sort of stayed out while everyone else came in, and it looked like for a while there it was going to be a master stroke for Marcus until you caught him there near the end of the race.
Yeah, it was pretty touch and go. We were banking on another safety car, to be honest. It was wet, it was tricky conditions, a lot of cars everywhere, hard to see behind the spray. So we were banking on another safety car. And then that didn't happen, so we all pitted. And I seen Marcus was a fair bit in front of me. I was like, oh no, this isn't going to be good, But I think he had to do a bit of fuel saving because he stopped a bit early.
I think he ended up being a lap short himself, so unfortunate. But
Yeah, like I guess the strategy played in their hands a little bit today, but other times it hasn't, and we just haven't quite been on the mark with it.
So I asked David Dillon about the incident last week at Long Beach at the last corner, obviously, where you both ended up simultaneously on your airboxes. What was going through your mind when that moment happened? I know, David's taken responsibility for it, and he was kind of just panicking at that point, and then all of a sudden everything just blew up in his face. What was kind of your mindset? Because obviously you had the spin beforehand, then you end up on your roof pretty much. Did that kind of, what was the thought process through that one, and kind of how that ended up occurring pretty much at the end of that race?
Yeah, it was, I'll put some of the blame on me as well. Last lap, I probably shouldn't have been pushing that hard through those bits, but I've just been struggling through there all race, massive oversteer moments. And I just had a moment through there, and I tried to get back on the track, got back on there, and I think David didn't see me there, and he pulled out. It's a racing incident at the end of the day. Like he messaged me straight after apologising. That's all you can ask for, and there was no hard feelings there at all.
Oh, mate.
Well, it certainly didn't affect your championship run. You're still leading it now. Have you got the other boys sort of lined up to be a rear gunner, or is it just get to the front and drive clear of everyone for the rest of the season?
I think if it gets a little bit closer, the round 7, 8, 9, if it's still tight, there'll be a little bit of team playing. I'm sure they're going to be doing the same thing, and that's completely fine. That's why you have teammates and that sort of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I don't want to hurt anyone else's championship. Matty's still right up there for pro-ams with Sam and the other boys, Marty and that. So I don't want to hurt their races by trying to help me. So I'm just going to push on forward and try and do the best I can.
Oh, mate, hopefully everything continues to work in your favour. It's been a breakout season for you. Montreal next week going to be a big challenge for a lot of drivers, as well as Laguna Seca and Barcelona to end out the running. So hopefully you can continue this run of form into those rounds. Let us know helps get you and Velocity Sim Labs out on track. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And for myself and Cowie, congratulations on your P1 here tonight.
Yeah, thanks guys. Just thanks to Velocity Sim Lab. All the boys are there. Hikoki Power Tools. Here the Race YouTube channel. You guys are streaming SRW for putting the league on. Don't forget to check out Velocity Sim Lab on Facebook. And one other thing, if anyone's looking to buy a cheap tin top car, let me know and I'll send you a PM.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck for Montreal next week. And if we don't get a chance to speak to you for whatever reason, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. Well, Cowie, final few rounds to come this season after a big wet race at Twin Ring Motegi here tonight. Oh, it's heating up at the moment here for a lot of these championships for AM, Pro-Am and Pro. It's anyone's game at this point in time, and, any of them can take the chocolates at the end of this one.
They certainly can, buddy. I wanted to congratulate you on your sophistication there of the silent T in Montreal.
It is a silent T.
But look, it's going to be an awesome finish to the season. I think the new car drivers are finally sort of getting their grips of it. We've had a couple of wet races now, one in the Shadow Series, one now in the official series. Were I reading your hints there that it might be wet again next week?
No, I know that Montreal can really test a lot of drivers. Obviously, tight circuit. Concrete barriers. I think even in the dry or the wet, there's going to be issues. The AM's trying to get through the Wall of Champions. Even turn 3, 4 as well. As my cat is trying to annoy me at my door right now, so he'll have to wait a minute. I think it's a track that throws up a heap of different challenges for drivers. I am just checking the weather for next week to see if there is any rain. Not looking like it at the moment, but yeah, it's a tough track, especially in these sorts of cars. We've seen some carnage there before in the F3, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some carnage again.
Well, again, it's a track where you hop the curbs for speed, and when you're starting to hop curbs in these open wheelers, it can it only takes a little sort of wrong reaction for the rear to suddenly snap out. So I'm sure we will be talking about safety cars again next week. But it's good to see that the season is really sort of getting into that that last gear now, and we're still seeing changes on the leaderboards, based on the results each week.
Well, it's anyone's game at this point. It's whoever is willing to come into the final rounds with the right pieces in their pockets, as they say sometimes. But it's been a big night of racing, Cowie, here at Motegi. Big thank you for joining me once again for round number 6 of Season 2 of 2024. We thank everyone who's been watching out there, whether it's from their homes or anywhere else they may be watching from, for joining us here tonight once again. We so appreciate your time. It is an absolute pleasure to call the action here for the Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing across all 5 nights we go racing during a week, including the Tuesday night Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercar Series, the Wednesday night Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals, the Thursday night Shannon's Insurance Toyota GR86 Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series, the Friday night IMSA Shadow Series brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools, in which entries are still open, so if you want to get involved in some multi-class madness before the end of the season, be sure to go to www.simracingworld.com.au, pay your subs, get registered, get into the Discord, and sign up for that series. And then also rounding out our racing week, our Sunday night V8 Supercars Super Sunday brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools / Monday during Scops rounds. For myself, Hamish Munro and Andrew Cowan alongside, we thank you for your time. We thank you for joining us once again. We'll see you guys tomorrow night with JP and Sinker in the booth for Mid-Ohio for the Shannon's Insurance Toyota GR86 Nationals. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and bye for now.
This is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because, tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us.